On October the 7th of 2018, 27-year-old Carl Russell was brutally murdered in broad daylight outside a house in Belle Vale, South Liverpool. The horrifying attack took place as Carl and his girlfriend were getting out of a car on Cornwood Close. A gunman dressed in a balaclava and a distinctive high-visibility jacket approached on a bicycle and opened fire, hitting Russell multiple times in the head and torso. Despite the efforts of horrified neighbours who rushed to help, Carl succumbed to his injuries, leaving behind a trail of questions and a devastated family. Welcome back to Crime Chronicles. Today we look at the shocking, broad daylight murder of Carl Russell and delve deep into why this young man may have been targeted for execution. The brazen act of violence that took his life was not the first time Carl Russell had encountered danger or been enmeshed in Liverpool's cycle of criminality and retribution. His life was shaped by violent events, starting from his teenage years. Carl Russell's life took a harrowing turn on New Year's Day in 2010, when he was the victim of an ultra-violent home invasion. Two masked men burst into his Belle Vale residence, shooting him multiple times, including a bullet to the back of his head. Miraculously, the bullet glanced off his skull, sparing his life. However, the attack left him with severe injuries, a disfigured leg, the need for crutches, and reliance on a colostomy bag. And to make this callous attack even worse, his dog was hit during the assault. The aftermath of the attack required emergency surgery and 14 litres of blood transfusions to save his life. Yet Carl's ordeal did not end there. During the police investigation that followed, a search of his home revealed a loaded Glock pistol, ammunition, and other incriminating evidence. The weapon was later linked to 3 separate shootings in the area. Maybe Carl was not as squeaky clean as he originally seemed. In October of 2010, Carl Russell, then 19 years old, admitted to possessing a firearm and ammunition. Despite his barrister's pleas for leniency due to the exceptional circumstances of his survival, Judge Nigel Gilmore QC sentenced him to 5 years and 4 months in prison. The Glock found in Carl's possession had been used in a series of violent incidents, including a drive-by shooting and an attack on a house occupied by a woman and her child. Police also seized a black jacket and a face protector, which were covered in gunshot residue. Prosecutor Jeffrey Greenwood said analysis of the Glock pistol revealed it had been used in 3 separate shootings during the previous 6 weeks. On November the 23rd of 2009, the weapon was fired at a house in Belle Vale, where the woman and her child were home. 2 weeks later, it was also used in a drive-by shooting, and on December 14th, the weapon was fired from a car in Belle Vale. While being interviewed, at first Mr. Russell claimed he was forced to store the weapon about 2 hours before he was shot. Later, he named a man he believed was responsible for the earlier shootings, but who has now himself been killed as well. Russell was obviously associated with people who did not take kindly to being snitched on. Russell's legal troubles continued in 2011 when he confessed to a burglary during his incarceration, an act his lawyers described as a step toward turning his life around. Despite these claims, his involvement in the criminal underworld appeared difficult to escape, and the home invasion and subsequent murder attempt had simply outed him as a dangerous criminal, who, up to that point, hadn't been on the police's radar. By 2018, Carl Russell had served his time and was on day release from prison when he was ambushed and killed. The attack occurred around 11:30 a.m, a time when the street was filled with activity, including children playing nearby. The killer's calculated appearance, wearing a high-vis jacket with reflective bands and riding a bicycle, allowed him to blend into the surroundings before and after the attack. Police responded swiftly to the scene, but the gunman had already fled. Over the years, the investigation into Carl's murder has yielded several leads, but no definitive answers. Detectives have focused on a number of key pieces of evidence in their quest to solve Carl Russell's murder. CCTV footage from the day of the shooting captured a cyclist wearing an orange high-visibility jacket. The individual is described as being a white male in his late 20s at the time, of medium build and dressed in dark clothing with a reflective orange and blue jacket. Police believe this person could hold crucial information about the case. Additionally, a white 53-plate Nissan Prime Star van seen in the area on the day of the murder is of significant interest. Detectives have also appealed to a taxi driver who may have overheard a conversation about the van shortly before the murder. Crime Stoppers has offered a £20,000 reward for information leading to the identification and conviction of Carl Russell's killer. Detective Chief Inspector Jason Pye, who is leading the investigation, has expressed hope that changing allegiances within Liverpool's criminal networks might encourage someone to come forward with information. This incident happened in broad daylight at around 11:30 a.m. on a Sunday, when there would have been people around, Pye stated. Over the years, allegiances can change, and hopefully a £20,000 reward will be a strong incentive for anyone with information to come forward. Mr. Russell was out of prison on day release when he was shot dead, and local sources have said that the killer realised this and was aware of Carl's movements in the time leading up to his death. Police and Carl Russell's family have been open about how few people would have known that he would be visiting his family on the day of the murder. This is a horrible position to be in, knowing that the killer or someone connected with the killer might well be close with the family. And as for motive, Carl Russell must have had some dirt on serious people for so much effort to be put into not one, but two horrific attacks. Detective Chief Inspector Jason Pye, who is leading the investigation, said, "In the last 5 years, we have made a number of arrests, but I am still very keen to talk to anyone who was around at the time of the shooting." Carl Russell's life and death underscore the devastating impact of violence and crime on individuals and communities. From surviving a near-fatal shooting in 2010 to becoming a murder victim in 2018, his story is a grim reminder of the dangers faced by those entangled in cycles of retribution and criminality. For now, Carl Russell's murder remains unsolved, leaving his family and friends searching for closure. The investigation continues, and police urge anyone with information, no matter how small, to come forward, ensuring that justice is finally served for Carl and his loved ones. Thank you for joining us today on Crime Chronicles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the channel with your friends.